So I finally wrapped up my Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 playthrough, which included the Phantom Liberty DLC. And I've already reviewed the Phantom Liberty part of that experience. And this isn't my final review of the game. That's going to come in a few days after I've had some time to percolate a little bit. I'm also going to be going through and doing a few more sessions, just doing side quests because there's things I'd like to see which I haven't seen yet. But I do have some final thoughts. I just finished it this morning and went and took a nap, and I woke up and was like, you know what, I'm gonna put some final thoughts down on screen and then get back to it after I've had some more time to really, think about it. I have to say, if this was the game that had launched 3 years ago instead of the hot buggy mess that CDPR launched back then that got pulled from the PlayStation Store, I think this would have been a completely different story. I think this game would have sold another 10 million copies easily, and I think the legacy would be even stronger than what it's going to be. And if you look at what the 2.0 plus Phantom Liberty DLC is, it's a redemption arc for CD Projekt Red. It is, and I know that some people are like that's not true. They can't be forgiven. Rah! Those people are trolls. Ignore them. They can f off into the ether. Um, People who recognize the amount of hard work that the team put in over the 3 years to make it right. Watching all of the presentations ahead of the 2.0 launch that week or so before Phantom Liberty was like watching a brand new team come out of the gate and have this revitalized outlook of like we got to get it right. Like we have to produce something that is of exceptional, better than quality. Otherwise, we're done as a company. And they did that. They produced an update that was better than the original. And tied together with the Phantom Liberty DLC was just amazing. Um, I think for me, thinking about final thoughts, let's see here. The cinematic storytelling in this game is the best I've ever seen up to this game. I know some people have said Alan Wake 2 is a better experience than this when it comes to cinematic visual storytelling. They might be true, but I haven't really played that game. I've looked at it from a distance. I'm not really into horror games. So I say that from the perspective of everything that I've played up until this point. This has been the best cinematic experience I've ever seen. The addition of all the new music tracks from all these amazing musicians all around the world, all of the new cars, the vehicle missions that you have now, all of that was it's just layers that added on top of an already great game that just had a buggy launch. And I think there is something to be said here for someone. I don't traditionally, if I was playing another game that had driving in it, I probably wouldn't spend a lot of time in the vehicle. I would only use it to do missions. So if I can liken this to Red Dead Redemption 2 and the horse, there were times in Red Dead Redemption 2, especially during my second playthrough, and then I started a third that I never finished because we moved. But we moved to the homestead. But that second playthrough, I can remember just getting on my horse and just riding and just enjoying the atmosphere and the world around me, and going hunting and fishing and just immersing myself in the world that Red Dead Redemption 2 had provided me with. And I got that experience out of Cyberpunk 2077 with the driving. Even though I'm not a very good driver on the controller, I was playing this in Xbox Series X. But the music tracks and the various radio stations that you can listen to, all the different types of cars and motorcycles and trucks, just vehicles in general, the immersion of your character into Night City and the vastness of those highways and byways and busy city streets and the winds swept, if I could say that word right, the winds swept um, desolation of the outlands where the nomads live and those giant, wind turbines. Just, I got lost driving around in this game. Like I would literally, and I'm still probably going to do a few more episodes of my test drive series because those are a lot of fun to do. Where I just get in a car that I've just gotten and I go test drive it and drive it. Let's do the straightaway, let's do the downtown city streets, let's go out here, let's go off roading. I really like driving in this game with all of the music. It's really amazing. And they did a better job now than they did before where they've increased the volume, of the music while you're driving and they've added all those new tracks and everything else. And then Idris Elba coming in and not just being an actor and doing mocap and voiceovers for his character, but also him as a DJ providing music, for the game. This is a game that took music and blended it in to this narrative performance in a way that no other game has really done it, and that was something that really gave me a different perspective on what a company can do working with these talented musicians from all around the world to bring their music into the game and add to the immersion of Night City. I thought it was brilliantly done. All of the different like narrations from different languages and stuff. I don't speak a ton of languages, but the nice thing about speaking Spanish is being able to tell the difference between when you're dealing with someone who's got Latin American Spanish versus somebody who's dealing with Spain Spanish, the Castellan, and so there was nuances to all of this that I was picking up on because of that, and it was just great. Now, obviously, some of the stuff that was in the base game is still there. So, as an example, um, the relationships haven't changed. If you're a male V and you want to go with the hetero route, then Pan Am is like your only partner. And that's the route I took. This is literally the screenshot I took this morning at the very end of the game. I got my happy ending, and I'm riding off into the sunset on the hood of the that tank, and I was just like, this fucking rocked. Like that was a great experience. And I know I got to do my review still, but I can tell you right now that my gut reaction, my initial like, what would I give this game, ignoring the past? If I ignore the buggy launch and I ignore all of that, and I just think about what would I have given this game, what would I give this game had I started it from scratch, never played it, and started it from the 2.0 update, played it through the Phantom Liberty DLC and to here, what would I have given the game? And I would give it a 10 out of fucking 10. Like, obviously, the review will come later because there are things I'd like to talk about there because there is still some technical jank here and there. I still saw a few things, but it didn't take away from the experience. My my final thoughts sort of, are I've never played a game that is as immersive from a storytelling perspective as this game is. Some of that might be because of the first person perspective, and I know some people are like, I don't want to play in first person. I only want to play in third person. I kind of had that when I initially played the game. I was like, I would rather have over the shoulder. And now that I've played it in first person, I don't ever want to play it any other way. And I really hope that the expansion they do, I really hope not the expansion, the second game, I really hope the second game is also first person. Because having it locked to first person, for me, gave me a much more immersive IMV experience than I would otherwise have gotten. Obviously, all the base missions are still there and all those things. And I reviewed those years ago and I said they were great. It was a great game. I had a great, a lot of time. But now the rough edges have been sanded down and polished. And one of the things I loved about the Phantom Liberty aspect of the new experience was not only was that main campaign really good, every single one of the side jobs, not the side gigs, but the side jobs, some of the side gigs, but mostly just the side jobs, felt like their own little, you know, 2 hour, sometimes 3 hour, 2 to 3 hours, sometimes chunks of content that had exceptional voice acting and really good writing and were impactful storylines all on their own. And as I've continued to do side quests throughout the game and side missions, I'm finding stuff that I never saw my first time through because I never did a completionist version. And technically, I've completed the game, but you can. It takes you back to the moment right before your final save so that you can continue to explore Night City ahead of that last 2 hour run to the end of the game. And I'm going to do so because there are a lot of quests I never saw my first time around and didn't see the second time around because I got to a point where I was just like, you know what, I'm ready to, I feel like I'm ready. I think, level 54 and the new level cap is 60, but I've done all the things I wanted to do. I've seen all the things I wanted to see. I've gotten all the Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. The skills that I wanted to get, I want to go ahead and take this to the end now. And also, I wanted to wrap it up before the end of November because I have Rogue Trader coming down the pipeline and I need to focus on that. So I was ready to be done with it in terms of a, main playthrough. And just I got to the end and was like, I kind of wished it didn't have to end. And I'm glad that they offer that experience of continuing to play through, Night City indefinitely if you want to, with V. And there's a lot of things that they've added. One of the things I really appreciate is the post, and this was not part of 2.0. They added this, I think, last year or the year before. Like, since I romanced Pan Am, you get a ton, like, compared to launch, there was a ton of more interactions with her on the phone where she's just sending you text messages and sexy little um, photos. Um, and just lots of interactions with her, even though you're not actually interacting with her on a voice message. And it felt natural because she's a nomad. She's out there in the wild and she's doing her thing, being a nomad in the wilderness, and just you're communicating by text, kind of an LDR, so to speak. Even though you can always go visit her. It just felt natural. And like I said, I don't think there was ever one moment in this game where I came across a character that felt fake. Even some of the, like, I remember I ran across Skippy this time, who I had never seen the first time through the game, and even that interaction felt real. It's like I'm dealing with an AI gun who has feelings. Like, this is crazy. So I just final thoughts, just getting them on paper. Again, I like to, and somebody commented the other day that they like the way I do this, so I think I'm going to keep doing it this way. I've done this for the last couple of games, like with Baldur's Gate 3, Starfield. I do a final thoughts video right after I finish the game, and then I just sit on it for another few days, maybe a week, and then I'll do my final review and talk about it there. So, yeah, the final review will be coming, if not later this week, maybe next week, but it will be coming out of the pipeline. Final thoughts is just, wow, what an experience. 2.0 should have it. I realize everyone can say, and it's easy to say, this should have been the game that they launched 3 years ago, and you're right, it should have been, but for whatever reasons, financial and otherwise, they had to push out a product at the time that they pushed it out for whatever reasons. I don't care about the reasons. Those aren't my reasons to know or to, I understand that running a company is difficult. And when you've got, hundreds of employees in the line, maybe you have a product you have to get out the door because you need to make payroll. And so it's better to get it's better to get the product out the door and make payroll so that everyone can continue to have a job than it is to wait until the game is perfect, especially if it's going to take you another 2 or 3 years to get it to the state where it's going to be perfect. And you can't afford to keep spending $50 million a year in salaries to get it to that point. I get it. There are tough decisions to be made when you're a company head. And I think that anyone who isn't willing to give CDPR a redemption arc, if you're unwilling to see past what they did to turn this around, that's a you problem, not a me problem. Because for me, CD Projekt Red is back in the saddle, and they did what they should have done, which is fix everything, get it out there to people, and they did it right. And they did a solid by the community by giving them something that's really good. They made up for their mistake, and I think this is an amazing experience, and I can't wait to do my final review and to keep playing through Night City. I'm keeping it on my Xbox. I can't wait to see where they're going to go with the next game. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. See you next time, everybody.